Hey, welcome to the Mama Circle podcast with me, your host Nat. I'm so happy that you are here. This is a place where we talk about modern motherhood, the parts that we all experience, the highs and the lows, but in particular, the parts that we maybe don't always speak about. So today, I am on day 3 of a whole week of being without my son, and I'm really enjoying it. And that might be a little bit spicy to say, but it's very true. And that's not because I don't love him. I love my kid with my whole heart. I think I don't even need to say this at this point. And it's not because I don't miss him, because I do. Of course I do. I miss the way that he wakes up in the morning and says, "Good morning, mama," and how he throws his arms around my neck and gives me the biggest squeeze. And just hearing him kind of playing with his Fireman Sam toys, making motorbike noises and helicopter noises and all of this kind of thing. But life feels spacious again, and that is something that is just so necessary. But before we get into today's episode, I want to say a big thank you to our sponsor, Mother's Earth. I have been using their laundry sheets for around about 2 months now, and I absolutely love them. I love that they are plastic-free, organic, and you don't have to have any big bottles underneath your sink. Literally put the sheet into the wash and it's done. Now, if you're a little bit skeptical about using more natural products, I can tell you this one works really well. It actually got Jackson's clothes clean after he came back absolutely filthy from nursery after playing in the mud garden. So if you're looking for ways to be a little bit more conscious about what you're putting on your skin and your cleaning products that you use around the home, then I definitely recommend giving them a try. I've got a code for you. You can get 15% off your first order using the code NAT. That's N-A-T, NAT, at checkout, and you can find the link in my show notes. So, we're, at the time of recording this, getting into the summer holidays, the 6-week holidays. And you might be a co-parent like me, and your child might be, or preparing to go away with their other parent, or maybe they're spending a weekend with their grandparents. Maybe you've got a girls' weekend planned. Maybe you're going off for a hen do, or it's your bestie's birthday. I think this conversation is valid across a whole spectrum of instances where we have time away from our children's, because I think there are a lot of mums who have felt this feeling of like, oh, I'm actually really enjoying this, but maybe feel a sense of guilt for saying it and kind of questioning, like, does this make me a bad mum? So far this week, it's the second week that I've had in total away from my son. The first time they went away for a week was last month. And I remember in that week having a moment when I was cycling down to go see some people. It was a really warm evening. I'd kind of put on some clothes that I felt nice in. And I just had this feeling of like, I feel so free. I don't have to get back at a certain time. I can go out and stay out as late as I want to. I don't know who I'm going to meet. I don't know if we're going to maybe go for drinks after, if we're going to sit around and kind of, talk about our lives as women. It was just this feeling of anything is possible, and I'm able to partake in the anything is possible. And so after having that week, I just realized, like, this is something that I really enjoy. And so coming into this week and now being 3 days in, it's just that feeling of ultimate spaciousness. I say ultimate, I still have to go to work. But, I've stayed at work a little bit longer than I usually would do because I'd normally have to pick my son up from nursery. But I've been able to kind of choose for myself, oh, maybe I'll stay an extra hour and just kind of like put this particular thing that I'm doing to bed. I made a spontaneous plan to meet up with someone yesterday that was really fun and didn't have to put any time constraints on it. I have reapplied for my Kindergeldzuschlag. For those of you who don't speak German or are not based in Germany, that's like an additional child benefit, without having to do that while simultaneously trying to entertain a toddler. I stayed up until 2 a.m. on Monday, and because I could, I decided, you know what, I'm not going to get up at 5:30. I'm going to get up at 7:30 because I don't have a small person to look after in the morning. I can just get up, do my movement, do my breathing, have my breakfast and go to work. And those are the moments that I feel like can kind of get forgotten. That feeling of I'm a free agent. It can get so forgotten in the kind of like daily life of raising children, literally just thinking like, what do I want to do? Instead of What do I have to coordinate? Do we have enough snacks? What am I going to make for dinner? Can I fit this in before bedtime? Is he going to cope and not have an absolute meltdown if we stay out an hour later than I'd planned, right? My brain is not constantly future planning. And it's no surprise then that in these 3 days and in the week that I had previously, the amount of creative ideas and the upsurge in just ideas and realizing like, oh, that could be cool, this could be cool, oh, remember this thing that I wanted to do, like just living and being a part of the natural flow of life is something that I realize like how much my soul needs. But alongside that, there was another feeling, especially in the first week that I had, which was, should I be enjoying this quite as much as I am? And I think it's because when I was a newer mum, so when I was, when my little boy was younger, particularly in that first kind of year, I would have and overhear conversations on like the playground and things like that. And I remember there was one particular conversation that I can remember where there was a mom and a dad there, and they'd spoken about like, the first few times they'd tried to go out and have a date night and they were not able to. They got to the place where they were going, and then after like half an hour they were like, we have to go home because we like, what is happening with our baby? There was this like level of anxiety. And I've also heard and had conversations with mum who were like, I couldn't stop thinking about my baby. I couldn't enjoy my time away. I just wanted to get back home. I felt really guilty for leaving them. And I remember feeling like, am I supposed to feel like that? Because I don't. Like, I love Jackson, like I've said, more than life itself. Truly, I do. But I'm also not sitting here counting down the minutes until he comes home. I'm not feeling like I'm at a loss of what to do with myself outside of my role of being a mum. And maybe that's because I had a very strong sense of who I was before becoming a mum. But I think it's maybe more that I don't feel like I'm in a codependent relationship with my son. And I think that we've been sold this idea that good mums should feel incomplete without their children. In the same way that romantic love should be, I can't live without you, let's do everything together, which is not particularly healthy. Like in romantic love, this feeling of we should just be wishing that we could spend every living, breathing moment together. We know that that's not a healthy thing in our adult relationships. We know that it should be okay for our partner to go away for a weekend with their friends. It should be okay for our friends to have other friends who they want to spend time with. It's okay to go to work and still think, I can't wait to go home. We don't question those things. So I do wonder why we kind of question this as mums. And I think what I've realised is I love my son, but I also love myself. And I don't think that those things compete. And I think that a lot of us know and understand this intellectually. We know that we need to love ourselves so that we are coming to our relationships, no matter which relationship it is, from a really healthy place. I don't think it's healthy to feel codependent towards anyone. I think it's healthy to feel a sense of I want this particular person in my life. And yeah, maybe I need them, but not in a way that is needy. And I don't want my whole identity to disappear into motherhood. My identity is so much bigger than that. Motherhood is a very big part of it, but I'm a writer, I'm a podcaster, I'm a friend, I'm maybe eventually one day going to be a lover again. I want to be multifaceted. And I also want Jackson to grow up and see that it is possible to really deeply love somebody, to, be willing to lay your life down for them and be willing to improve yourself in all the ways for that person, but also to still have a life of your own. that loving someone doesn't mean disappearing, and it doesn't matter whether that's your child or whether it's your partner. Do I miss him? Of course I do. I'm going to be super happy when he comes home. I can't wait for that hug and to ask him what he's been up to and all of these kinds of things. I'm still very connected to him. I wonder what he's doing. I hope he's having the most wonderful time. In this particular instance, they're kind of staying somewhere that's outside of cell receptions, but I trust that he's having a great time. Did I have anxiety before he went away? Yes. I had a couple of nights of not sleeping, of having really crazy dreams about abduction and violence and all kinds of things. And I think about him multiple times throughout the day. The connection doesn't disappear just because he's not here with me. If anything, I think, it's probably even increased a bit, because not having his presence around me means that I am kind of searching for him in my head. And I think that the process of matrescence just has shown me what that connection is. I understand now what mums of older children have told me. They said that your mind is never going to be your own again. Part of you will always be connected to your child, but even when they're 20, 30, 40 years old, they could be on the other side of the world and you would still have this connection to them. It's like a out of body, embodied kind of link. But that's very different from feeling like I can't enjoy my own life when he's not around. And as I said, I think that's really healthy. I have been able to catch up on life. I've had space to think. I've had time with friends. I've had time to watch a film. I've had time to breathe. Literally, I've had more time to do my breath work in the mornings and do the things that I know are really going to fill me up. And that means then that when he comes back, we haven't seen each other for a week. We're going to have so much to catch up on. And I'm going to be filled up on rest, on creativity, on social time, on, just being in my own energy and my own space, while still remembering that I am me and not just Jackson's mum. I'm Nat, a woman with friends, with dreams, with work, with purpose, and a life that still deeply matters to me outside of motherhood.
So I hope that you're enjoying this episode so far. I actually just wanted to take a moment to tell you about my WhatsApp group, It's a Lot. I don't know about you, but when I became a mom, I thought that I would be able to just share how I felt with everybody and I would be understood. But my gosh, there's so much judgment, there's so much criticism. And I really found myself craving a space where I could just share what was on my heart, what was on my mind, unfiltered, and know that I wasn't going to get well-meant advice that I actually didn't want or ask for. And so I created It's a Lot. It's been going for over a year now, and this small, beautiful, intimate space has seen everything from breakups to sleepless nights to new babies to going back to work and all of the things that motherhood encompasses. We come together and we share every week for about 10 minutes, knowing that nothing that we say is going to be judged, is going to be criticized, and there is no well-meant advice given unless we specifically ask for it. I'd really love you to join this if you feel like there's a need in your life to share what's going on for you, things that you might not be able to say to your best friend, your partner, your siblings, or anyone else around you. If that sounds interesting, you have a 3 months trial and it's €10 after that. Nice and easy. Go look at the show notes and we'd love to welcome you in.
And I do wonder if what we're worried about really when we feel that sense of guilt is not necessarily that we're enjoying the time without our kids, but the meaning that we make out of it. That maybe I don't love my kid enough. Maybe I'm a bad mum. These are all the things that I thought when I think back to hearing those conversations and other mums being like, oh, I just couldn't stand to be away from my kid and I don't know what to do when they're not around. And I remember thinking am I a bad mum? Should I not be a mum? Is it weird that I don't feel this sense of loss, not having my child with me for an afternoon or for an evening or for a weekend or for a week? No, of course it doesn't. So I know that there's going to be a lot of mums who are going through this to some spectrum, some degree. Again, whether it's that your kids are going to a summer camp or they're with their grandparents or with other family members or they're with their other parent on holiday. And If you're brand new to it, if you're someone who's not used to spending time away from your child, it may well feel destabilizing in the beginning. I'm not going to lie. But my real hope for you is that you are able to lean into it. There's a German term, genossen, zu genießen. There's no direct translation for it in English, unfortunately, but it's kind of like enjoying or taking pleasure in, but deeper than that. You know, like really just kind of almost reveling in it and luxuriating in it, and just that kind of like, And I really hope that you're able to lean into that, because this time is so precious. As moms, we're constantly thinking, planning, anticipating. And that takes up so much mental energy, the mental load. We know it. I've spoken about this so much on this podcast. And I think that when we have the opportunity to just take ourselves out of the mother role and put ourselves back in like the me role, that just creates so much mental, emotional, physical, spiritual space. And that is something that, you know, we want to talk about filling your cup. Like, this is something that can fill your cup in a really, really, really big way. So I totally see you if you're struggling, but also know that it is so possible to really enjoy and genieße this time away from your kids. So enjoy that time when it comes around to you. So if you've been brand new to the Mama Circle, I really hope that you've enjoyed this episode. If you are a returning listener, thank you. I really adore that you keep on showing up. It gives me life. And if you haven't already, please hit the follow button or subscribe, depending on which platform you're listening on. And I am super passionate about getting this podcast out to a lot more people, and I would so appreciate your support. Hit the stars, leave a review if you haven't already, and I'll see you back here for the next episode.